is never gonna let you live this down. Well, clap it up for that man. Come on, Logan.
I tried, brother.
You did great, dude.
Oh, Logan, you're swimming out of here with $24,000. Tune in next time to the show where you can win it all. If you don't waterfall, it's the quiz.
Gordon tries the worst German food in the heartland. All new Kitchen Nightmares, tomorrow on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
In the wake of new federal findings regarding the fatal mill explosion in Searsmont, firefighters, especially those involved in the response, have a message. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. They are stressing that the focus should remain on educational takeaways, not placing blame. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
You can go from hero to zero in an instant. And that's what happened to us on Friday.
That's how Liberty Fire Chief Bill Gillespie said he and many other firefighters felt reading headlines after a federal report about the fatal Robbins lumber fire suggested firefighter response played a role in unintentionally causing the silo explosion.
We were considered heroes for doing everything that we did, and then being blamed, potentially, or the statement saying that we contributed to this. We got to rebuild from that.
Gillespie, who is also the president of the Maine Fire Chiefs Association, said there was no clear indicator the silo that exploded was an oxygen-limiting structure.
The tactics that had always been in place when they've gone to fires at Robbins before was exactly the tactics that they used that morning. They were unaware that they were in a situation where they were causing potentially a catastrophic event.
Now is the time not to put blame on us or anybody or the company. It's let's make it better.
The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health conducts these reports as preventative teaching tools.
And not just in Searsmont, I'm talking nationwide. There's silos all over this country and with the same scenario.
Chief Gillespie said the Fire Chiefs Association is also partnering with state organizations to draft legislation that aims to prevent future silo catastrophes.
We don't know everything. We never preached that we know everything. But when no one else is going to come, they call us. And we show up, and we do the best we can.
In Liberty, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
A Belgrade man is facing charges after he allegedly fired a gun multiple times near a summer camp for children. 36-year-old Nathan Hewitt is charged with reckless conduct with a dangerous weapon, terrorizing, and criminal threatening with a dangerous weapon. A little after 7 p.m. Friday, deputies from the Kennebec County Sheriff's Office responded to Camp Moden in Belgrade for a report of a man with a rifle shooting near the camp. Chief Deputy Chris Reed says 2 men from a nearby residence, including Hewitt, had allegedly come to the camp complaining about something to do with a tractor. Reed says they were met by security at the camp who called 911. The 2 men left, but Reed says while the caller was still on the phone with the dispatcher, Hewitt allegedly started shooting a rifle from 389 Smithfield Road, which is next to the camp. When a deputy arrived, the camp was put into lockdown because there were several staff members and several hundred kids there. Reed says the deputy allegedly saw Hewitt shooting a rifle about 20 times in various directions. He says deputies located a rifle and took several other weapons from the home after Hewitt was arrested. In other news, the city of Bangor has been going through sort of a shakeup in their finance department, and that has left those in charge looking outside City Hall for help to keep the department running. Our Alex Schley has more.
We are moving in a direction where we're going to overhaul the department.
In the meantime, the city is looking outside for help.
The ideas were to try to work with Maine Municipal Association or work within the city's own departments, particularly as you mentioned the airport.
This came as Bangor's finance department is without both a director and assistant director after both resigned. Last week, Bangor's finance director Stephanie Kimball resigned effective immediately. The city says her departure came in short succession after assistant finance director Linda Archer announced her own resignation. Kimball held the position for less than a year after signing a 3-year contract in September that paid $116,000 a year.
The city and Kimberly, we part on mutual terms, and we were very happy with the work that happened, and we both decided it was best for both of us to move on in different directions.
This is not the first time in recent memory the position has abruptly been vacated. Just over a year ago, in May 2024, David Little also suddenly left the position after a year. Despite the change, Leonard says the city is moving in a positive direction.
I'm comfortable to say that we are better than where we were previously in 2024.
Bangor City Manager Carolyn Lear told ABC7 Fox 22 in an email in part, quote, with the sudden resignation of the city's finance director and other vacancies in that department, the city has reallocated other qualified staff to assist with the finance department operations until permanent staff are hired. Monday, Lear announced she named Bangor International Airport's financial manager, Jody Varney, as the city's interim finance director. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
And in other news tonight, residents in Milo are seeing a major hike in their taxes. Some are seeing a jump so high, they worry they may have to move. Our Calvin White has that story.
Citizens of Milo were aware their taxes would go up this summer, with the town announcing a property tax reassessment. The town hadn't done one in years, and the housing market is on the rise. But residents Geraldine Getz and Bill Joyce were never expecting the figures they saw on their latest bills.
But this shows up, and it's $5,310. What? And so I thought, I've made a mistake. You know,
How about it was a shock? My tax bill went up 130%.
In addition to the property reassessment, residents' taxes were also increased to cover a $1 million budget overage. The Milo Town office said that the reassessments were done in accordance to state regulations, but declined to comment on the additional taxes paying for the overage. The multi-million-dollar budget was focused on improving the town's fire department with a new truck and new facilities. But Milo residents are frustrated with what they call the town's overspending.
They got a lot of money for it. Apparently they didn't get enough, so they're gouging us now.
Residents worry the new taxes could lead to them no longer being able to afford their own homes.
I'll tell you how much it is, $1,700. And I only get $1,400 in Social Security.
I know one person is already saying, oh my God, we have to sell our house.
A select board meeting is scheduled for August 12th at 6:30, where residents plan to make their voices heard on the new taxes. In Milo, Calvin White, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
A father is suing Palace Playland and Old Orchard Beach for negligence after his 10-year-old son was injured on a ride 4 years ago. The state later found the ride's operator likely didn't secure the child properly. The lawsuit was just filed late last week, and it details just how seriously that boy was hurt, as well as the concerns about the ride's overall safety. This all centers around the Superstar ride at Palace Playland, which dates back to the 1970s. The then 10-year-old boy fell off the ride not long after it started and was hit multiple times in the head by one of the carriers, leaving him with cuts and a broken nose. According to the lawsuit, the boy says the safety bar wasn't locked in. He says he felt unsafe and tried getting off before the ride started. A state investigation later found the operator likely didn't check and secure an aftermarket rope that was installed to keep the safety bar down. The family's attorney says they now want to know what safety measures were in place then and what, if anything, has changed since.
I would hope that there was additional safety training. There should be. Rider safety on Palace Playland's website, guest safety, it's listed as a top priority. Those are the words that are used. We want to see what the actions are. We want to see what the actions have been since this happened. We want to understand what the actions were immediately before this happened, to see whether or not they were upholding their commitments to their customers.
Well, our media partner WGME reached out to Palace Playland for comment on the lawsuit, but haven't heard back. Amusement rides like this are supposed to be inspected by the state yearly, and the Superstar was found to be mechanically safe after the incident in 2022. Well, staying in southern Maine for a moment, there have been more than a dozen shark sightings directly off the coast of Maine, and that now includes a close encounter with a local lifeguard. That lifeguard was pulled underwater by a shark who grabbed the rescue buoy that was tied to his body. Brad Rogers has more from Scarborough State Park Beach, where it happened.
It was frightening. I'm not going to deny that.
Lifeguard Greg Wilford and other lifeguards were swimming out on shark patrol when a shark pulled him underwater and dragged him by the strap of his rescue buoy.
I was pulled under about 5 feet, and I thought I was caught in the propeller of a boat, because that's the only thing I could think of until I realized there was no boat.
That's when he knew a shark had pulled him under.
And all I did is pull off the strap and get to the surface and swim as fast as I could in.
When he got back to shore, Wilford immediately ordered the closure of Scarborough Beach to all swimmers. He reopened it an hour later after drones were put in the air to search for sharks, along with 2 lifeguards on a wave runner.
The drones are flying every half hour. They're going up, and when they spot one, we send the jet ski over, and the sharks don't like the jet ski.
This beach is still on a red and yellow alert, meaning swimmers can only go waist deep, and it will stay that way until sharks are no longer in the area. Over the weekend, at least a dozen sharks, including great whites, were spotted off Pine Point, Scarborough Beach, and Higgins Beach.
Usually we'll see 1 or 2 here and there. This is a large volume, larger than I've seen, and I've worked this area for 30 plus years.
Well, summertime tends to be a great time to pursue outdoor challenges. One couple is doing this to broaden their own perspectives on the world and that of others. The Rouses are walking 12,000 miles across all 50 states. They say they are doing this in large sections. For their last stretch, they did the entire western seaboard from the Canadian border to the Mexican border. This last stretch is slightly smaller, as they are just walking across Maine. They say they are doing this to show themselves and show others that life is perspective.
We want to share just how malleable our perspectives are, and if we lean into that reality, just how much we can accomplish. The walk, of course, subjects you to all sorts of obstacles, the elements, the uncertainty of life on the road. You don't always know where you're going to sleep at night. You've got to figure out how to interact with all different kinds of people.
Just very interested in learning. We try to absorb as much as we can from as many places as we can.
Well, you can see that motto manifested right there on the back of their shirts that read, quote, "Change the inside, change the outside." Torin says if you work on yourself and become the best version of yourself, you can influence the world around you in a positive way. By the way, they are funded by donations, so if you'd like to pitch in, you can head to their Facebook page, Walking America Couple. And 2 other people have just finished the hike of a lifetime. 10-year-old Liam Holland and his father Dola set out on the Appalachian Trail on February 13th and ended at the top of Katahdin on August 4th. They covered more than 2,000 miles in 172 days. They too say it was an incredible experience.
When I get older, like when I graduate high school, I doubt I'm gonna go on another experience like this with my dad.
We took advantage of it while we could. You know, we don't know what will happen in life, whether we could do it later in life. So we really just decided, let's just do it now.
Seizing the day, that is for sure. We'll both say they just kept walking in good weather and bad, and they say it felt really good to reach their goal. We're glad they did so safely, and congratulations on that accomplishment as well. Alrighty, folks, let's pause now and take a first look at our forecast.
Tonight's first weather is brought to you by Old Town Redemption, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Taking a look at these temperatures from today, back in the upper 70s and low to mid 80s. Very nice out there. And now if you like these temperatures, you're in luck because we're going to have another day of them in store for tomorrow. Taking a look now outside, we got some clouds making their way into the state. We are going to see the chance for some showers and thunderstorms later this evening into the overnight hours. But take a look at this. By 7 a.m., they are out of the area, making way for more sunshine, a couple sprinkles later in the day. But other than that, much drier heading into the rest of your Tuesday. Taking a look then for tonight, temperatures falling back into the mid 60s.
Well, folks, artificial intelligence is everywhere, and some think that's a good thing, others aren't so sure. In the world of academics, faculty grapple with how to prepare students for a world that includes AI while keeping it as an ethical tool for learning. Well, earlier today, I spoke with Husson University's Director of Online Faculty Affairs about how Husson is engaging with AI, and that conversation is after the break.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Bikers are known for giving back, helping others in need, helping Mainers get back on their feet. At the law offices of Joe Bornstein, being Maine's motorcycle lawyers is something we wear proudly, fighting and winning for injured bikers since 1974. We know the Maine roads and the Maine laws. That's why injured bikers know to call Joe, because accidents happen to be our specialty. Born to ride? Keep Joe by your side. Maine's motorcycle lawyers.
I'm a fifth-generation logger and the son of a public school teacher. A dad who worked 16-hour days, and that still wasn't enough. So when they tried to replace us with foreign labor, I led a blockade of the border. Susan Collins didn't help us then, and she's certainly not helping us now. We're all getting crushed out here. Healthcare, housing, heat. We've got to fight back. We're all hungry for it. Maine is ready for a change. I'm Troy Jackson. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message.
It's all fun, all hybrid, and all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive Toyota Camry Hybrid. A well-appointed, stylish hybrid that's all about comfort and all about exceptional driving range. And right now, with affordable 4.99% financing, all about great value. The all-fun, all-wheel drive Camry Hybrid. An all-around great choice. See your New England Toyota dealer. Your hybrid all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back in, everyone. We are joined by Dr. Adam Crowley of Husson University. You are the Director of Faculty Online Affairs.
Online Faculty Affairs.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your role, because we're talking about AI today, and there was sort of a thought trajectory as far as whether we engage, do we not, and how do we do that. Husson University's thinking kind of evolved sort of interestingly in that regard. So what transpired there?
Sure, Husson is thinking about AI as a tool, and that thinking has come from several years of reflection. First with the faculty and staff getting together to come up with principles that were relevant to all the faculty and staff and students at Husson University, and then later investing in some training from some national groups, about a 9-month training that involved about 35 or so faculty and staff at Husson to get a sense of what's happening nationally with artificial intelligence in higher education.
And all of that really coming from, there are ethical snafus to be confronted when it comes to AI, and so especially as an academic institution, you have to be mindful of those in however you choose to engage with AI, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to be very careful of protecting student data. We need to be very careful that when we're using it as a tool, we're teaching students how to use it in ways that will be useful in the workforce that they're hoping to move out into with their professional degrees, so that they can have good uses of it and good outcomes with it in their careers. And then also in terms of education, we need to make sure everybody's on the same page about how we're using it, when we're using it, and why we're using it.
And you know, this was not a weekend conference. This was a long trajectory, a lot of learning for everyone involved, especially the faculty. So much so that you said they underwent a year of training, and then faculty also preparing sort of with conferences and some away work. So you guys have really jumped into this.
We really have, yeah. We took two main tracks, one for making really important decisions about the presence of AI on campus and how it would be used and how we would build a community around this concept of AI literacy that many schools are pursuing right now, and then also really a nuts and bolts consideration of what do I actually do with this in the classroom? How can I actually use this productively, and what do I need to be aware of when students are using it as well?
And how do you bring AI, and how is Husson bringing AI into the classroom in a healthy and positive way?
Sure, it's bringing it in with a community understanding that AI literacy is paramount to everything that we're doing. So investing in individuals' ability to think critically about AI, to think about how it can be an efficient tool, to think about what it can't do is also really important. So when it comes to assignments, what we're looking for students to do, what we're looking for students to produce is something that's under active and ongoing consideration at the university.
And so for students who might be looking at Husson University as an educational possibility, you know, if a student knows that they're going to be going into a field, or they're interested in a field where AI will be paramount, what would you say to them about how Husson is going to educate them in AI?
Sure, I think first it's an excellent choice to come to Husson University for this kind of education. In terms of how Husson is going to prepare them, it's going to prepare them with an education that has a deep commitment to critical thinking. And so when it comes to AI and its use, we prioritize the student experience, we prioritize experiential education, and we prioritize opportunities for learning that have students actively reflecting on what they're doing and why they're doing it.
Okay. Well, we'd love to talk forever about this. This is definitely a concept that's paramount, but we do thank you for coming in and sharing some thoughts about bringing AI into the classroom, because it's a big concept today.
Thank you.
Do you have a wet basement, nasty crawl space, settling foundation, sinking concrete, or clogged gutters? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basement-y. For over 30 years, thousands of homeowners throughout Maine and southeastern New Hampshire have trusted TC Hafford. Basement waterproofing, crawl space repair, stabilizing foundations, concrete leveling, and gutter installation. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems for all things basement-y.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. I was contacted by a woman who asked me to help one of her friends who had been hurt by a drunk driver. We got him a $250,000 settlement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, call me. I'm your go-to guy.
Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes.
Going up?
Actually, I'm going down.
Yeah, me too. My A1C's under 7%.
Mounjaro?
You know it.
My man.
Hey. Ouch. Since I started taking Mounjaro for my type 2 diabetes, I'm a bit of a Mounjaro magnet.
I lowered my A1C and I lost some weight. Check out my pants.
I'm good. Okay. Never a dull moment.
With Mounjaro, 3 out of 4 adults reached an A1C under 7% and maintained it. And some lost up to 25 pounds.
Like this gal right here. Nice, Mom.
Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills. And before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may cause kidney problems.
Hey, Mom, what do you say we take the stairs? Stairs is a great idea.
Ask your doctor about once weekly Mounjaro. Paid partnership with Lilly.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Looking at national headlines, President Trump insists the U.S. is in control of the Strait of Hormuz by virtue of its naval blockade of Iranian ports. The president also indicating he's prepared to allow economic pressure on Iran to mount as opposed to ordering a new military offensive. Iran remains defiant, even demanding the U.S. make concessions. Fox's Mike Emanuel reports.
Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period. Whether you go SS Cole or whether you go all of the people that were so badly hurt, so badly wounded or killed, many thousands of people.
The president also told reporters in the Oval Office the U.S. naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is working.
Look, the only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. It's a steel wall.
In Charleston, South Carolina today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth participated in the renaming of a base there to honor the late Senator Lindsey Graham. While there, Hegseth urged Congress to approve a sharp increase in the Pentagon budget.
This department pays tribute to Lindsey Graham in the naming of this base. But there could be no greater tribute than Congress could give than to invest in our warriors for the full $1.5 trillion.
Over the weekend, the president telling Axios about Iran talks, quote, "We are low-keying it. We are only semi-negotiating with them." Vice President J.D. Vance warned the Iran conflict may not wrap up anytime soon.
We're really in the middle of the game here. This thing is not over. It's obviously not at the beginning.
Democrats note the American people are paying a price for this conflict.
Donald Trump may be saying that oil companies are making too much money, but what Donald Trump is doing is starting a reckless war in Iran.
With midterm elections 85 days away, there is domestic political pressure on Republicans, particularly on those in the House and Senate on the ballot. Also today, Todd Blanchard was sworn in as the Attorney General, the second Trump Attorney General of the second term. At the White House, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Switching gears, it's been nearly 3 decades since rapper Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas. Now a man connected to the murder is standing trial. Fox's CB Cotton has more from New York.
Jury selection begins in Las Vegas for the man accused of helping to kill rap icon Tupac Shakur. Dwayne "Keefe D. Davis allegedly helped plan the shooting, but was not the one who pulled the trigger. He's been in jail since 2023.
I didn't do it, and I'm an innocent man. I wasn't even in Las Vegas.
Shakur's long unsolved murder has captivated hip-hop fans for decades. In 1996, he was shot multiple times during a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas on his way to perform at a club. He died 6 days later at just 25 years old.
It was devastating. We lost an icon and we lost a friend.
The investigation was cold until Davis started making public statements about the shooting and published a tell-all memoir saying he was a rival gang's leader who was reportedly seeking revenge. In an interview with our Fox affiliate in Las Vegas, Davis said there was no rivalry with Shakur.
Description. I did not write that book. A ghostwriter wrote that. We was never at odds with each other. Me and him is friends since we've been knowing each other since we was 8 years old.
Prosecutors hope to prove Davis helped orchestrate the murder and provided the weapon.
He was kind of the boss of that group, and that he would have been the one to give the order. I'm bringing in everything that I can find to make it seem as if Keefe D was the biggest boss in the world and that everybody would have only made a move if he told them to.
The trial is expected to last up to 5 weeks. CB Cotton, Fox News.
The White House is shaking up the recommended vaccine schedule for America's kids. A new executive order reduces the number of immunizations recommended by the federal government while splitting up one commonly received combination shot into separate visits. Fox's Max Gordon has more.
President Trump signing an executive order Monday changing up vaccine recommendations for America's children. The combined MMR vaccine covering measles, mumps, and rubella has been around since 1971 as a 3-in-1 shot. Now Trump wants it to be broken up.
We want it in 3 separate vaccinations, given at separate times. Together there could be a possibility they're quite lethal, and separately it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just very effective.
But the U.S. currently doesn't offer separate vaccinations for MMR. Companies would have to start clinical trials to make that a reality. The president cited what the administration refers to as gold standard science and suggested, without evidence, that splitting up the shots could help lower the risk of autism.
I want to find what's going on with autism. It's many, many times what it used to be years ago.
I'm not sure that there is anything that has been as thoroughly looked at as this question about whether or not there is a link between autism and vaccines. And the answer is unequivocally no.
According to the CDC, no published scientific evidence shows any benefit in separating the combination MMR vaccine into 3 individual shots, though it acknowledges the vaccine has a very small risk of febrile seizures or allergic reactions. The U.S. is currently in the midst of its largest measles outbreak in 35 years, and doctors say the vaccine offers essential protection for a child's developing immune system.
It's safe. There is no doubt. It does not cause autism. It is a safe and effective vaccine.
The president's order is a recommendation, and states would ultimately have the final say on vaccine requirements. Max Gordon, Fox News.
Well, there's a connection between Alzheimer's and menopause. Fox's Marianne Rafferty has more from a researcher at the University of Arizona who's sharing her findings.
Right now, researchers are linking menopause and Alzheimer's. Nearly 2/3 of people living with Alzheimer's are women, and it's been long thought that more women get Alzheimer's than men because they live longer. But Roberta Diaz-Brenton says her research shows that's not the case. It turns out it just starts earlier for women in menopause.
It's because women are going through this midlife transition where the ability to transport glucose into the brain and then convert that glucose into energy can decline.
Brenton says estrogen promotes the brain's ability to use glucose as its primary fuel by about 20 to 25%. But as estrogen declines, a starvation response is activated, and this period could mark when the risk for Alzheimer's begins for women. But Brenton says there are things both men and women can do in midlife to reduce their risk for Alzheimer's.
The first is sustain glucose metabolism, right? So if a person is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, we now know that those type 2 diabetes medications actually reduce the risk in both women and men.
And according to the Alzheimer's Association, making key lifestyle changes can help reduce a person's risk for the disease, like exercising, maintaining social connections, and heart-healthy eating. I'm Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
And we have more national headlines after the break.
Something stinks, and I'm not just talking about the food.
I don't want to give up.
We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or any commercial vehicle, we know how to get you the big money you may deserve.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you.
At the County Federal Credit Union, we value the trust our members place in us to act in their best interest. Whether it's providing low rates on consumer loans or raising money to end hunger, we work hard to serve our members and the communities in which they live. We are excited to bring the meaningful and impactful work we do to all Mainers as we continue to grow. Wherever you are in life's journey, count on the county to be your financial partner.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese.
Cancer affects everyone, but there is hope at Northern Light Eastern May Medical Center's Champion the Cure Challenge, where every dollar raised helps patients in our own backyard. Make a difference. Walk, run, or cycle August 15th in Brewer. Visit ctcchallenge.org.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Right now, firefighters are working to contain several wildfires burning out west, and as Fox's Ted Lindner reports, those fires have turned deadly in Utah.
A little bit of hope in the fight against raging wildfires in Washington state. Right now, at least 3 blazes are burning in the Spokane area, with more than 900 structures now damaged or destroyed. And as officials work to contain the flames there, they're reporting now some of the evacuation zones have reopened.
We really know how difficult it's been for people to be away from their homes for so long. I want to emphasize something, though. Being clear to return does not mean that every hazard is gone.
So officials are bringing in special crews to help with the cleanup, and they're warning residents about the not-so-obvious hazards, like ash and dangerous fumes from chemicals, batteries, and plastics. They're also warning about another unexpected danger, distracted driving.
Please keep your eyes on the road. We don't need any more tragedies associated with this disaster.
And police are sharing new details about the suspect accused of starting one of the fires in Spokane. They say he's admitted to starting 25 fires in the area since July of 2025. Meantime, an investigation is unfolding in Utah after a helicopter crashed in the fight against a wildfire in the Fish Lake National Forest Friday. And because of the fire, crews couldn't even get to the wreckage until Saturday.
They're able to do a brief recovery of the two people who were on board.
Officials confirm both people have died. The National Transportation Safety Board is now investigating the cause of the crash. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
At least 111 people are dead after a massive earthquake hit Colombia. The quake left behind significant damage in the rural western part of the country near the Pacific, with some affected areas very difficult to reach for emergency crews and resources. Fox's Gernal Scott has the latest.
A powerful earthquake rocks Colombia early Monday morning.
It took us by surprise, and we evacuated as quickly as we could.
The epicenter of the 7.4 magnitude quake, about 250 miles west of the capital of Bogota. Colombia's third largest city of Cali took nearly a direct hit, where at least 25 buildings collapsed. The country's interior ministry believes more than 20 towns and cities were hit. Dozens are already reported dead, and the number is expected to rise as others are recovered from under the debris. Emergency crews are sifting through the rubble but are concerned about more aftershocks. In Manizales, a spire of the city's Gothic cathedral was seen toppled over in the aftermath. Colombia is a mountainous country, and small quakes are not uncommon, but Monday's was the strongest in a decade. It even rattled buildings in neighboring Ecuador and Panama, where workers and residents were evacuated as a precaution.
I was sitting in a dining chair and I felt it start to move. It stopped for a moment, and then the second tremor was a bit stronger. We were on a high floor, so we ran out.
The earthquake comes just a few weeks after two equally strong earthquakes devastated Venezuela. Emergency authorities are urging people to stay in place while they assess the damage. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Agricultural giant Taylor Farms is recalling more than a dozen products made with jalapenos amidst a salmonella outbreak. National retailers like Walmart and Target are impacted. Fox's Tonya J. Powers has more.
Taylor Farms is issuing a nationwide recall for products containing jalapenos over concerns of salmonella contamination. Retailers like Walmart, Target, Kroger, and Whole Foods are pulling grocery items, including salsa and guacamole, from shelves in at least 26 states. And restaurants are advised not to serve fresh jalapenos to the public.
The CDC and the FDA are working hard to trace back exactly where these outbreaks are occurring from, intervening with the sort of suppliers to make sure that they don't, and doing recalls to make sure that the disease doesn't, condition doesn't spread.
The company has linked the outbreak to a grower in Sinaloa, Mexico, which supplies products to Coast Citrus distributors. Taylor Farms confirmed it is no longer sourcing products from that farm and is finding alternative suppliers. This isn't the first road bump for Taylor Farms. The company also recalled iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico, linked to the recent cyclospora outbreak in more than a dozen states. Many shoppers are now turning to local farmers markets instead of big box retailers over food safety fears.
Produce and plants, it's coming from the earth and the biome that's in your local area, which means that it's going to have the natural bacteria and stuff that are good for your gut, as opposed to something that's been, washed, sanitized, and used a bunch of chemicals on just to get it to you.
I would feel more comfortable taking from a local farmer than from a supermarket.
The CDC is also investigating a multi-state salmonella outbreak tied to eggs from a Texas producer. In New York, Tonya J. Powers, Fox News.
And just ahead, we have your full 5-day forecast.
High temperatures for today back in the upper 70s to low 80s. We will have these temperatures for the next couple of days, but will there be a cool down? I'll have details on that coming up.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
They've got the sharpest pencil in town. Now they just sit around that showroom figuring deals and whittling that old pencil down. They know that if you buy once, you're gonna be back. So instead of buying one, you're buying two, and that's a fact. They've got the sharp.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
I'm a 5th-generation logger and the son of a public school teacher. A dad who worked 16-hour days, and that still wasn't enough. So when they tried to replace us with foreign labor, I led a blockade of the border. Susan Collins didn't help us then, and she's certainly not helping us now. We're all getting crushed out here. Healthcare, housing, heat, we've got to fight back. We're all hungry for it. Maine is ready for a change. I'm Troy Jackson. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Hit it! Jamie Foxx and Beat Shazam are back. $1 million. Can you beat Shazam? Hit it! Beat Shazam, all new Tuesdays at 9 on Fox.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Ride smart, ride safe, enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the road with Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Taking a look at those high temperatures from today, back in the upper 70s to low to mid 80s. And if you like this, you're in luck, because we will have those temperatures once again for your day on Tuesday, before we do start to cool down a bit more heading into later this week. Average high this time of year is 80. Now for Tuesday and Wednesday, we are going to be above that, temperatures in the mid 80s, before we're right back near average heading into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. Now last week, we did have some heat with the humidity. Fortunately, we've lost the humidity and we've also lost the heat, so it's definitely been much more comfortable. You'll see the humidity climb just a bit later this week, when we do have some showers and thunderstorms that will make their way through. Now also, we've been seeing a breeze out there. We will continue to have a breeze into tomorrow, with winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour. So we're going to have that breeze as these showers and thunderstorms do roll through as well. Speaking of showers and thunderstorms, after tonight into tomorrow's round of showers and thunderstorms, we will go a couple days before we get our next round of showers and thunderstorms. Have some clouds rolling in now, a couple sprinkles earlier today, but you can see just to our west, lots of chances for showers and thunderstorms. However, we are going to see them start to diminish. This is about 1 a.m. You can see the line of showers and thunderstorms making its way through the state, but by 7, 8 a.m., it will all be out of the state for this line of showers and thunderstorms, shaping up for a pretty nice Tuesday. A couple of sprinkles are also possible, but lots of sunshine is back for our day on Tuesday. For tonight, showers and thunderstorms, especially in the later morning or early morning hours, about 1, 2, 3 o'clock, getting out of our area by about 7, 8 o'clock, with low temperatures back in the low 60s. For tomorrow, partly cloudy and breezy out there, with high temperatures back in the mid 80s. And taking a look at your extended forecast, a couple of nice days coming up here tomorrow into Wednesday, with high temperatures back in the mid 80s, some sunshine and clouds mixed in as well, before our next round of showers and thunderstorms does make their way through. Thursday, high temperatures falling into the upper 70s. By Friday, we are right back into the mid to upper 70s, with another chance for some showers and thunderstorms to make their way through. but the 80s return into Saturday with sunshine as well back in the forecast.
Alrighty, folks, we have sports next. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Red Sox fans, you've got to play You Pick 'em Red Sox at foxbangor.com. Local weekly winners receive prizes from Chase's Family Restaurant in Bangor or from Chick-fil-A. Register now at foxbangor.com. You Pick 'em Red Sox is sponsored by Seasons Grill and Lounge on Main Street in Bangor, Twin City Tile, State Street in Brewer, and Bogies on Stillwater Avenue in Bangor.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers polydock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating polydock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
At Danforth's Down Home Supermarket, fresh isn't just a promise, it's what we do every day. Family owned for 2 generations, Danforth's brings you the freshest produce, premium meat freshly cut and ground daily, and a bakery filled with warm breads, pastries, and sweet treats baked fresh every morning. With Maine lobster available year-round, a fully stocked deli, you'll find everything you need for the family table. Short on time? Shop online with Danforth's Dash. Visit Danforth's Down Home Supermarket in Herman and Pittsfield for quality, convenience, and hometown service come together.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. On Friday, the Maine football team held their first scrimmage of the preseason, and then on Monday, they were back at it again. So we took I-95 north to Orono to check in with the team. On Friday, Maine came out onto the field and did some individual work. Not on Monday, though. They went right into a real game scenario, 15-minute quarters in all. The defense looked awesome right away. On this play, the QB is going to try to extend the play, but Takai Chisholm chases him down for the would-be sack. No contact on the QBs in practice. We got to keep them safe out there. Here's another good play. Pass caught over the middle, but it's blown up right away by Jeremiah Harris. Next drive, a screen's going to go out to Nick Laughlin, and it's read perfectly by Jeremiah McGill. Really great defense there. Defense as a whole was great. The offense couldn't get anything going until this play. Handoff goes to Aiden Winter. Looks like he's going to get jammed up, but he breaks free and takes off all the way into the red zone. What a run by him, and that's going to set up this scoring play. Michael McMaw takes it in himself for the touchdown. Their season's coming up real soon, so excited for that. All right, let's check in with the Red Sox, who took on the Blue Jays coming off of a series loss to the A's, and folks, it was a weird one. We get almost no action until the 5th inning. That's when Charles McAdoo bombs this one into right field, and it's a homer to make it 1-0 Toronto. 1 inning later, the Blue Jays double that lead when this hit sends George Springer around the bases. Suddenly, it's 2-0, and this is where it gets weird. Top of the 7th, Cedane Rafaela hits this one up. It's caught, and the frame's over. Or is it? Watch this. The scoreboard in the building reads 2 outs, but there's only 1. Watch it change live coming up here. Back to 1 out before it is eventually caught. And you know what? After 15 minutes and a call to New York later, they determined that it was only 1 out, and Anthony Siegler gets credited with a run to make it 2-1. So strange. Boston, however, could not climb out of this one. They fall 2-1. I've never seen anything like that in baseball or any other sport for that matter. While we're talking about the Sox, though, it's time to honor World Series champion Matt Barnes, who just announced his retirement from baseball over the weekend. Barnes had an 11-year career in the MLB, and on Sunday, he decided to hang up the jersey. The pitcher played his first 9 seasons with the Boston Red Sox. It was a big piece of that 2018 World Series run. In fact, his performance in the postseason that year was quite incredible. In 10 total innings, Barnes posted a 1.04 ERA, allowed just 1 run, and then finished with a 2-0 postseason record, including earning the victory in Game 1 of the World Series. Barnes moved on from Boston in 2023 and closed out his career with 1-year stints in Miami and Washington. We are just under a month away from the start of the NFL season, and this week, the Patriots locked down one of their top offensive weapons. That's right, Patriots tight end Hunter Henry put pen to paper on Monday and inked a 2-year extension worth a base value of $16 million. Now, that can go up all the way to $20 million with incentives. The pass-catching tight end was acquired by the Pats in 2021 after playing with the Los Angeles Chargers, and he played a big role in that Patriots run to the Super Bowl last year. Last year, Henry recorded 60 receptions for 768 yards, 7 touchdowns, and his total yardage might not show his true impact, but that's almost 13 yards per catch when you do the math. He is a quality downfield target who will get to and beyond the sticks. Additionally, he's a fantastic red zone threat. Again, 7 scores last season, 4 of them came from within the red zone. Drake May will have other pass-catching options like A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs this year, but re-signing the veteran tight end was a great move and a crucial one for the offense. I'm still hung up about the Bills not getting him. I'm a Bills fan. I wanted him back in 2021. Lastly, folks, if you're in the Portland area, you may want to attend the Sea Dogs game on Wednesday. The Sea Dogs announced on Monday that the first 1,000 fans to come through the gates for Wednesday's game versus the Binghamton Rumble Ponies will receive an exclusive Cooper Flag bobblehead. Now, the bobblehead is, of course, Cooper Flag, but he is wearing a Maine uniform with his iconic number 32 on it. The gates will open at 4:30 p.m., so if you're a Flag fan in the area with nothing to do, you may want to stop by on Wednesday. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
If you believe in a campaign that's honest...
Honest? Troy Jackson was accused of mortgage fraud for falsifying documents to get a low-interest loan. Jackson billed taxpayers for massive travel expenses, even though his house was only a few miles from the state capitol. Who approved his taxpayer-funded expenses? He did. And Jackson was known for bullying women. Troy Jackson, falsifying documents, ripping off taxpayers, and a bully we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. Outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with a good morning, Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop, by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead. Wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Ooh, say sorry. Your Honor. Is not an answer. I love this job.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
And tourists alike are soaking up summertime along the coast, and what better way to enjoy this time of year than with a good beach read? Well, our Jody Hersey sat down with local author Ellen Baker, whose latest release, Summerland Cove, captures 3 generations at their summertime cottage with a mystery on their hands.
Families do have secrets, and everybody has secrets, and everybody keeps things from people.
Lincoln County resident and Maine author Ellen Baker highlights the love, complexities, and secrets within families in her latest work of fiction called Summerland Cove.
It's a story about a family at their summer cottage and about what happens when they have the summer of a lifetime planned only to have everything go wrong.
Baker's novel follows 3 generations that reunite at the family cottage in Maine year after year.
So I have 25-year-old Haley who's about to get married. I have 48-year-old Lindy who's planning her husband's birthday party and all the events. And then 81-year-old Greta who is dealing with some difficult situations as she's aging and her husband is aging.
Baker said local readers will recognize several popular Maine locations within the story.
King Ider's pub is in the book, Gelato Fiasco is in the book, Moody's Diner is in the book, so Mainers will definitely recognize some familiar and wonderful spots.
Summerland Cove is Baker's 4th novel and is available online and at several local bookstores. In Augusta, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Nothing like a good book. Well, the staff of Down East Horizons offered a scenic train ride for children and adults with developmental disabilities. Our Sam Miller hopped on board and reports from the branch line.
Down East Horizons is providing service to people with disabilities and developmental issues since 1974. And on Monday, they took to the rails to help them create a memory that will last a lifetime. Nearly 140 children and adults with Down East Horizons gathered at Washington Junction in Hancock to take a ride aboard the Down East Scenic Railroad. The group chugged from Hancock to Ellsworth Falls and across the Union River Bridge along the Maine Central Railroad. The ride gives participants the opportunity to experience a part of railroad history in Maine while enjoying their time together. Executive Director of Down East Horizons, Anthony Zambrano, described how grateful he is to be able to give the participants an unforgettable memory.
It's a nice, brief, wonderful, relaxing train ride. And a train is something that, not a lot of people get to do. I'm just so blessed to be able to lead a company that affords these individuals to come visiting us the opportunities to do this.
After the train turned around and coupled onto the back cars, the group made their way back.
It makes me feel great, seeing everyone just happy and feeling included in the community.
Just that sound of the train and the blowing of the whistle and just the moving of the train. I love trains.
As the train came to a stop and everyone piled off, they were already excited to climb aboard next year. In Hancock, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, there definitely is a certain mystique about trains, and great to see the folks at Down East Horizons getting out and about in the community and getting opportunities like that. Alrighty, folks, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you right back here again tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
We need 53 points. We asked 100 women after breaking up your engagement, what would you do with your ring? You said, it means nothing. Survey said. Number one answer was
Anderson guest hosts a new Jimmy Kimmel Live with Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
In the wake of new federal findings